Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marion and today we are doing an April wrap-up. I have been in the worst slump ever. I have not been reading. Every book that I start, I basically put down after a couple of pages. It's been really difficult, so I haven't read much, but let's look at the stats. This month I read 6 books and I DNF'd 1, and my average rating is of 3.3 out of 5 stars. I read about 1,025 pages. So not a lot compared to January and February, but about similarly to March. I've been in a slump since February. I don't know why, I don't know what happened. I can't get myself to read these days. So let's dive deep into the books that I read. The first one that I finished in April, and it's actually the first one that I DNF'd, is A Touch of Chaos by Scarlett St. Clair. That is an actual new release for 2024. It had just come out, and it's the last book in the Hades and Persephone series that she has. She has 3 books in Persephone's POV and then 3 books, I believe, in Hades' POV. And then this last book of the series combined both of their POVs. I just couldn't get into it. I posted a vlog if you want to get deeper into like the thoughts that I had while reading it. But I was really disappointed in it. I was so sad. Mostly because it wasn't just Hades and Persephone's POV. We also had a bunch of other people's POVs in there, and I just couldn't get into those characters. And one of the main thing is that we had the POV of the main villain in the book, and each time he repulsed me. I just couldn't get through the chapters. I wanted to skip ahead. I just really couldn't get into it. It was very repulsive. I couldn't continue through the book. I think I DNF'd it maybe 40 or 50% into it almost. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. So really disappointed because that's one of the series that I had the most fun reading when I read it about like 2 or 3 years ago. It was one of the books that got me back into reading, really. I was kind of sad about it, but let's move on. Maybe that's what put me in a slump. I don't know. Next, I read Catcalling, which is in that same vlog as A Touch of Chaos. Catcalling was a very difficult read. It's a poetry collection. It was a good read, but very difficult with very heavy topics. I don't think I would reread it. I would say the language used in there is also difficult, and the poetry was a bit difficult to read. I also hadn't read poetry in a really long time, so it was difficult to get back into it. I liked it overall. I think it is a necessary book. I just don't think I would reread it because of how heavy the topics are. It touches on very difficult family dynamics, very difficult like child abuse and like things like that. It's a lot to take in. In addition to that, another poetry book that I read was Burning Like Her Own Planet. That one was fun. It was extremely fun to read. A bit more touching on like the fantasy element, which I really enjoyed because you don't really see that a lot in poetry sometimes, or at least in the poems that I read, I don't really have that fantasy aspect in it. So Burning Like Her Own Planet is basically retelling of stories of 3 different Hindu goddesses, which was really interesting to read. Goddesses that are not really known to the Western public, at least. I really loved that one. I gave that one, I believe, 4 stars. 3.5. So I really enjoyed that one. The previous 2, well, my DNF, I don't rate my DNFs. And then Catcalling, I gave it 3 stars. Burning Like Her Own Planet, I really enjoyed. It was a really, really fun read. So the poetry collection actually comes in 3 parts, and each part deals with one specific goddess. And each part, you kind of step into the goddess as if you were her. And so that was really, really interesting to experience. A lot of beautiful writing around India and the culture, like different foods, different colors, different ways of dressing and like things like this. So it was really, really interesting to read. I really enjoyed that one. I would probably actually bump that one up to 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The next book that I finished was a book I read with my friend Tiffany for our book club. It's Get Good with Money by Tiffany Alicia. That one I loved. So we're trying to get a handle on our money and try to start looking into investing and things like this. And that book was really interesting because, first of all, Tiffany Alicia is very relatable. In the introduction, she tells you, hey, one time in my life, I was in over $35,000 in debt. But now I'm not. I was able to pay off all of that debt. Now I have savings and things like this. So it was really fun. She has a really fun, relatable writing. She's very chill, very low-key, and you can really relate to her because she will literally tell you, hey, I used to do that as well. But here's how you can change. And here's how you can get a handle on everything. I really, really enjoyed that book because it's very actionable. For each chapter, so you have a chapter on credit, you have a chapter on debt, a chapter on how to save, things like this. And so for each chapter, she has very specific exercise that she'll make you do, and she has very actionable steps that she'll make you do. And all of that is really to guide you towards a better handle, to have a better handle over your finances. So I really enjoyed it, gave it, I think, a 4.5. So loved it. After that, I picked up Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and I did not like that one. I was so mad because I was really in the mood for like a cozy fantasy, for something sweet, for something that would give me cozy vibes and all of that, but I couldn't get into it. I finished it, I gave it like a 2.5. It's not the book, it's me. It's just, I can't do cozy fantasy. That's like the second or third book that's labeled cozy fantasy that I can't get into. Like this one, Legends and Lattes, The House Witch, like I really can't get into that. So maybe I need to drop cozy fantasy for now. I couldn't get into the main character. I couldn't get attached to her. She felt very cold to me, too academical. And I work in academics. I work in research in a university, in a hospital. Maybe I saw too much of my work into the book and I just couldn't enjoy it. I enjoyed at first her academic rival because he was witty, funny, sarcastic, and I felt like he was trying to get her out of her shell. But after a while I didn't really care for neither of them, and I didn't really care for the story that was evolving. I enjoyed learning a bit more about the fairies, and I enjoyed the setting of the remote village in this like cold island, and it's all snowy and all of that, and like the small villagers, everybody knows each other and all of that. That was really nice. Like I really enjoyed that, but I really couldn't get attached to characters nor care about the story. So yeah, that was that. And the last one that I read for this month, the 6th book that I read, is another poetry collection that I just finished yesterday actually, called Aster of Ceremonies. And that one was really deep. That one was really intense, but also very light at the same time. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection. It merges talking about slavery and stuttering, because the author has a stutter and they've always really battled with that and tried to get a grasp on their stuttering and trying to go to like speech therapy and things like this. And so all throughout the book they use their stutter as a way of transforming the words on the page and as a way of bridging the gap between their own voice and the voices of their ancestors that ran away mostly and that couldn't speak about their slavery. And I thought that was a very intelligent and very smart way of doing this. All throughout the book too, we have music sheets written on the page that goes with the poems, and it's beautiful. I would highly recommend picking it up. It's a beautiful book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed reading it, learning more about slavery and learning about stuttering. I've never really thought about people who stutter and how difficult their day-to-day life would be, and how their internal monologue and internal values and internal identities would be also shaped around that. So that was a really interesting read and very valuable read. I really enjoy poetry that plays like this, that plays with the visual and words on the page, but that also plays with merging two different subjects that you think wouldn't really go together, but that somehow come together on the page. That's incredible. This is poetry that is very clever, and I love that so much. That was all of my reads for April. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with another video soon. Bye!